Hey, how's everybody doing today? Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Big Chonis. You guys are awesome. This is a very interesting price action we're seeing here in Bitcoin. A lot of our altcoins as well, kind of following in suit. Remember, you guys can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Big Chonis. You guys can find me on Bitcoin Live as a featured contributor. You guys can also check out my website. Still a work in progress, but it's getting there. And chonistrading.com, where I talk a little bit more about my online mentoring. And I basically have 3 individual packages. You guys are more than able to choose from, an hour session, a 3 hour, or a jumbo 8 hour. Please feel free to reach out to me on this area here. And if you have any interest in one of these mentoring sessions, basically a chance we can work out some trading ideas, hone your skills if you want just some basic info and, on trading EMAs, all the indicators I like to use and talk about in my show. So let's get into some pretty interesting whiplash we've had here in the Bitcoin price action. I'm on the 5 minute right now, and I'm just getting a sense so we can kind of start as to what we've been seeing, the past several hours in our price action of Bitcoin. We had this interesting move running up here with a very nice volume coming in, bull volume, coming in behind it. We hit right 620 on Coinbase right at the dot there. And boy, did that get sold off very quickly here on a higher wave volume bar in that preceding 5 minutes. This thing only happened in like 10 minutes there. And you can see in the 15 minute, we had a follow up to that bear volume there, putting in a lower low from that initial bottom Darth Maul candle, if you will, and quite an interesting volume spike here as well. So a lot of volume in the price action of Bitcoin happened there, and then ever since then we're kind of just leveling out, chilling out here, still, below 3660, where we were able to break out. But listen, every time we get above this $3,600 area. We keep getting these consistent rejections. Now, if I zoom out here to a higher time for actually it was what was this chart I had up? We'll get to Litecoin in just a moment. There we go. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we basically have this new established flag boundaries based on this upper wick that has been created on the 4 hour. We closed this 4 hour. I don't like how this 4 hour looks. Definitely a high volume bar. 3 wicks in a row, we keep getting rejected, and we cannot close above 35.75. And look how strong on the 4 hour this zone has been since since this area where we failed to hold that support. 35.75 has been rock solid resistance on the close of the 4 hour candle. And we have spent several of those 4 hours above it, looking pretty good, looking looking pretty bullish there, and then just basically losing that continuation momentum in that price action, and quite a pullback there. And if you were trading this, if you were watching to see if this was are we about to take off here, I think a lot of people kind of were watching that volume increase and get pretty excited, um, only to find almost a lower low than before the pump was in place. So now we're just kind of chilling here, and listen, until we can get back above 3575 and close, above that area, then the Bears are going to still consistently have control here. We have these consistent wick outs on every bullish attempt we try and put higher, and we're putting in lower lows now. We're putting in lower lows. Price label. So we have our initial wick rejection around the 37.11. We have this double candle rejection here, 3654, 3627, and now 3620 there. So 4 attempts to kind of break this flag through, break it higher, break it out, and we're basically seeing that rejection continue. Now, so far we have put in a string of lower lows until this most recent hold so far. But if that was going to be consistent, then a lower low than 3534 is possible. And because of where we're watching here, it's almost something where you want to target, this lower area of our current flag where we touched it on the initial candle here. where we pulled back after our initial spike, held support right at, look at that, 3575. So 3575 support for the continuation that failed to, escalate, and now 3575 is resistance. Because of that, are we going to target the same slope parallel going down again to find that support? Because look where this area of support can be found. It founds, and let me go different color here. I don't like that color. Let's go white. Okay, so we hit it here, resistance, came all the way back down, blasted through it, and wouldn't you know that our lower flag support corresponds 3485 um, with our line of near term and pretty confirmed resistance turn support. So if touched, this area should hold because of how strong of resistance it was, now turn into that support zone. That's good. That's something we want to see. However, that also will pull back and give back so much of this bullish momentum we had coming through here. There was a lot of excitement on the initial expansion or the continuation of a bullish expansion, something that we really haven't seen, I guess, till this little cluster here, but more notably our initial push here, and then that fifth, push higher here. We had expansion here after contraction, and we haven't had it basically ever since on this higher scale. So I zoom out here, and we're watching to say, okay, so let's say the bulls are able to, gin up enough muster to bust us out of this flag. Okay, they have so many other areas above to contend with. For starters, we have our declining line here of resistance, started in the 4K area, touched here, touched here, touched here, and that can still put our price action of Bitcoin, come on, right there. Let's make that right there. And that's in that 3850 area. Okay, that corresponds with this triangle breakout apex we also had here in the price action. Look at that right there. $3,800 there. So that area is our next near-term resistance. And I can actually show where this also corresponds with, let's go to my daily. Pull that back there. Triple. Yes. Okay, so we have been, I'm on the daily chart now, and we have been resisting. I tweeted about this yesterday. We have been resisting the MA50 on the daily chart. Okay, finding that MA50 as continued resistance. um, after being able to break through it, but that didn't really hold very long, did it? We had our BART pattern here, fell right through, and then have been consistently trying to bash through the MA50 here, here, and here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, 8 attempts. And look, once again, today's candle, this is the daily, where we have found that resistance, MA50. This sucker is strong, and it refuses to let the price action rise above. Now, if the bulls can bring this above, we see our rather quickly descending and declining MA100, our blue line here, that is drifting ever so slowly, well, not ever so slowly, very fast actually, below the 4K area for the first time in a while. And I just want to reference what the price action did when it got close to the MA100 back here, November 6th. You see that last bullish attempt that Bitcoin took before the collapse happened, the 6K collapse. Okay, the tether pump. Remember this day, October 15th, that crazy tether pump candle. Okay, where did it get rejected? MA100. These two attempts here to break bullish. We have not closed above. I guess you can call that one a close above there. September 21st. And every time we had touched the 100, the price action got rejected, and then finally couldn't even muster enough energy to even touch it that one last time on the daily before before. So now we fast forward to where we are today, and we see this will take us into the end of the month to see how the MA100 and the MA50 interact with each other, because that could be interesting to see how they react with each other. We can go back and see how they've been repelling here. Here was our kind of pseudo bull cross to bear cross of the 50. So we actually have a lot of history with these guys playing around here. We actually had a slight, no, that was a bearish, just, kind of funky there. But I think it'll be interesting to see how the interaction takes place, and that's still a couple weeks away. As well, note our MA200 on the daily, still drifting lower at 52, but if I bring us up to our weekly chart, we actually know that our MA200 is actually much more relevant on the weekly candles. Now, this is what I don't like. I don't like that we touched it, broke it, bounced hard off of it, right? And then we can close one more time, didn't touch it, okay, found that support. Okay, that's good. Nice little tweezer here. I'll take it. Okay, but our MA200 is rising now. Okay, so when we first touched it, 31.85. When we secondly almost touched it, 33.30. And, by next week, we'll be at 3355. So we're rising in our support of our MA100, and we're barely rising in our actual price action. So even though so far the MA100, MA200 on the weekly has proven strong enough support with this double bounce, okay? A triple bounce, a triple touch, a triple test of the 3350s. I mean, and it sets up the scenario, the possibility that we could actually break and close below the weekly MA200, something where we came very close to doing but didn't do the first time. And a triple test of it, I don't like the triple test, because for now, this pattern here, and I've talked about this. There's a couple of ways to look at this. For now, we do have this wedge basically still continuing to align with our apex that can take us into March if it wants to. I don't think this is going to hold as long as we get into March there. But the other scenario is basically that we're doing another descending triangle, and because of that, this puts kind of two scenarios in play. There is room to go a little up, but it's also possible that Bitcoin is still so weak now that we're putting in a steeper declining angle. And we won't know this until this is proven wrong. But for now, we have a top this week, Friday. It's Friday. We have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have 3 more days in this weekly candle, which is currently topped off at 3654. Okay, and that could potentially signify a steeper decline to get us to retest our 3150 double bottom area. So, um, so something to consider, because that could play out a scenario where we come back down here, try and reject it. Maybe there's our bounce, and we can still get that one more bounce higher, retesting our declining overall line for that next, we break lower, we correct, and then we put in a lower low. And that can still put, 35, maybe 36s again, further off into play. But for now, we might not even get this far out. We might even just roll this way and break. And the point of this is that if we touch 3150 one more time, if we set up the circumstance like we had, here before the 6K break, okay, where we didn't necessarily hit the same bottom to the area, but we were comfortable with saying that 6K area, okay, whether it was 6,400, 5,700, 5,900, 6, 6, and then like 6,200. So that area of support, which means that 3150 ish range can be tested and found as support for another little hold, maybe, and a little bounce. And then the bounces get smaller and smaller. See how the bounces got smaller and smaller as the ball bounced smaller and smaller? Okay, this is the pattern of a descending triangle. And these patterns normally break bearish, as this guy did. And now we're currently in a pretty much of a similar situation until Bitcoin proves us otherwise. You know, until Bitcoin is able to put in a higher high, a higher equilibrium break. Okay, it's still just doing, you know, one hump, a smaller hump, and maybe one more smaller hump, and then we know what happens next. We can target the next area of short-term historic major price action that Bitcoin experienced between 1300, oh yeah, and up to 3K. You know, that whole area there. Very similar time this area was in play to where we are currently holding between 3K and as high as, you know, 4K. So there's very little difference between this cluster of historic price action from 3K down to $1,700 as there is from this area of the break. Well, let's just call it the area where we had a little bounce here and then right here. Okay, these, you know, these squares are not that dissimilar in time and you know, more or less candle formation. We went up, we came back, we continued. We went up, we came back, we continued. We went down, we came back, we continued. See what I'm saying here? Okay, just as we went up this way, we can come down this way. And so far, that's just kind of what my overall bias has been. Now, in this cluster, you know, there's opportunities to be made. There's different opportunities, especially in the altcoins. We've seen them be a lot more bullish than the Bitcoin price action from a percentage standpoint continues to be, and that's consistent. Money has been made much more so on these alts, while Bitcoin has been ranging. Okay, now that I got my weekly up, let's look at a couple things real quickly here. We're still in a bullish sense in our stochastic in this week. Again, still got a couple more days left to go. Our RSI, look at this here. Continued sloping resistance line holds, 36 on the RSI. Looking here at our very crappy OBV uh, oscillator, where we're still in the negative here and just ever so slightly clawing our way up. So from a weekly time frame, it's still nothing that great. What does our TG DMI look like here? Still in a bullish stance. We have our green over our red, and we are definitely still above our lower Bollinger. We see how bearish we broke it through here, but still a lot of running room to go to get anything close to our middle BB. CMF, talking about money flow, still putting in almost, yeah, look at that, lower low. It's breaking through a lower low. So we have a lower low. We have the lowest low in the CMF on the weekly this week, you know, since the bear break. And this is our overall, wow, look at that, huh? This is our overall on balance volume, and I just have to, where the heck? I mean, it's like, wow, look at that. It's just kind of screaming right to me right here. This very interesting head and shoulders right there on the OBV. And yikes. I mean, can we do this again? Can we do... Interesting, interesting. And note where this would potentially take us all the way back down to um, you know, some of those 2015 OBV levels. We also have a rising line of support. Make that guy green. and which could also act as support and negate the extent of what this head and shoulders could potentially bring us with the support line happening here. So that'll be interesting. This is our weekly. We're talking, we're talking a couple months out here probably, but if we get down to this line, which definitely held that OBV a lot through the 16 and 17s, um, could be interesting area of support to keep an eye on. And so yeah, all right. So that's our weekly. Listen, I'm bringing up the monthly because we're halfway through this month, so why not? But before I bring up the monthly, oh, interesting candle. Hey, I want to do a quick shout out to my friends in the chat room. 83 of my closest buddies today, Friday afternoon here in New England. It's cold, a little rainy, not too snowy, but I wanted to come to you guys live and talk a little bit about what I'm seeing here in the Bitcoin markets. And always happy to guys have you here. Remember the thumbs up and tips are always appreciated. Just letting you know. Hey, what's up B7Oaks? What's up Pat Cam? What's up Tariq Muhammad? What's up Crypto Storm 48? What's up Jeanette? Hello. What's up James Ashmore? What's up Hugo? What's up Jay Constant? What's up, the Wobbly Jello? What's up, Day Trader? Hello, Sarah. Yes, this is who I am. What's up, Swanson? Yes, I do get mistaken for Liev Shriver. Bleeding Crypto, what's up? Hey, Bleeding Crypto. He puts out some great content, especially on the gaps. Big fan of yours, sir. Wizard of Do It Land, Sergio Simeon. Hello from the Netherlands. That's awesome, buddy. Um, Listen, yeah. All right, so listen, back to the monthly here. Okay, so we talked about how the 200 MA weekly, our red line, was being tested. We also have our 50 on the monthly. And for Coinbase, it actually just popped up in January because, wow, England and Russia. What's up, Ev PR? Thanks for watching here. Um, Probably colder there than it is here, also in the Netherlands too. So listen, MA50 haven't touched it yet. In March, it'll be 3153. Ah, how interesting is 3153 again? That's our double bottom support. Okay, what an interesting confluence of events. There are a couple other interesting crosses. I know Vam talked about them. Let me, yeah, so is it the 30? And was it the 7? Let me MA indicators. Give me 1 second here, guys. I think it was the 7 or the 21. There was another cross on the monthly that was notable. Yeah, look at that. It was the 7 and the 30. Um, let's make this guy bigger. There. Wow, look at that. And this basically this happens kind of into next month, basically. And we also see how on the monthly, the MA7, I mean, look at that. You just play the MA7 as resistance all the way down, and you just sell every time the price action hits the MA7. On the MA7, 48.95 and falling rapidly. Look how it fell almost fell $600 last month. It's probably going to fall another six. Oh, I can't. I'll have to see if I can get. Oh, yeah, I can probably add it to that later. All right, I'll do that later. So a notable bear cross that's going to be happening as we get through the end of this month. So we're seeing a very slight, and I'll just call it slight, as we're halfway through this month, area of support here as we're still curving. Okay, I mean it's notable that we've been just curving and slowing our rate of descent. Okay, that is notable. But our volume, this is, look at, we're halfway through the month. We have less than half of last month's volume, and we have what, 2 days shorter of a month. So so far, February is looking to be the lowest volume month after the bear break, and there's still little in this candle on the monthly that's encouraging, other than the fact that the selling has so far are slowed. Now, the big key over the next 2 weeks, the next 15 days, um, no, less than that, the next 13 days, less than 2 weeks when we close the month out, will be to see how long this upper wick is, and especially if we actually end up closing the month in the green, because we have not had a green month since July. One, two, three, four, five, six, seventh month in a row, potentially red. So far, we're green, but remember, we had been green in September for a time. We were green in October for a time. Doesn't look like we were green in November at all. We were green in December for a time, and we were definitely green in January for a time. So we have had intra candles of the monthly that have been very green, and then they just kind of you know fade, and until proven wrong, can we expect something like that? Now, I would prefer a very tight candle doji. Would be interesting here. We have not had a very tight candle in Bitcoin's price action, I guess, since this guy here, since our February candle, where, I mean, from a 10, it was a 10. Yeah, this was like a, wow, this was really tight body here. So we haven't had a body this tight since then. And the candle itself, something this small, we haven't had something like that since like March of 17 on the monthly. So very tight range so far. But as I said, we got half the month left to go. So let's get rid of our that. And let's get rid of our that. And um, let's bring up Let's bring up our TD counts. There was one count yesterday that was interesting, which was the 12-hour. And let's see how that ended, and if that was the reason we had a little bullish pop. So monthly 7 red. Okay, we're still on a red 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. We would have to close above 6,200 this month. We have to close above 4,000 in March to not have a red 8, and we have to close above 36.87 in April to not have a red 9. Um, weekly auto. Come on. So we are on a green 2 on the weekly, and just see, look at that. We look at where we closed this week here of January 28th, and the high was 3535. Our low this week is 3535. So you see how important 3535 is, and that we're only $30 above it right now. But you see how important that area is to hold on this pullback. So far, even though we've had our choppy price action the past few days and kind of low volume and our consolidation, we are still holding a very key area, and we can even go down a little lower to, as I said earlier, those 3480 area as kind of our last bastion of don't get too much lower than that, or else on this pullback, because then we would definitely have lower lows to contend with. But for now, we're going to hold that and see how that goes, especially how our daily candle go closes today into the weekend. So green 2, still a bullish count, but still a little too early um, to, for me at least, make a trend change direction. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, we need to close above 3536 today to keep this a green 2, and for the next several days. And then actually we have a little bit of running room up until here. We're going to close above 36232. Now our 12-hour. Yep, there it is. We were on an 8. And then we had, oh, interesting. We actually were able to fully do a green 1. And then it was our follow-up candle here that reversed once again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Got to close above 3576 in the next 6 hours. So we get halfway of this candle left to go to see if we can actually get this this count to continue. 6 hour is early cycle, nothing to see there. 4 hour is also early cycle, and I'll do the 1 hour just for the heck of it, and early cycle. So nothing really notable in the TD counts on really any of the time frames, going all the way up to, looks like it's the weekly has the highest. Yeah, we're on a 4 on the 3 and a 4 on the 2. So yeah, everything is mid-cycle, so not much going on in terms of my TD counts. Now I want to bring up my Ichimoku because I'm very curious to see where we actually did find that rejection today on our candle. I want to start with my daily. So the daily shows clear air still up to 3786, and potentially our lower cloud at $3,800. There's our target. Our 12-hour shows consistent cloud rejection. I mean, how spot on is this guy here? Look at that. We get into it, rejection, into it, touch it, another attempt here. And this is sideways resistance up to 3681. We're also finding Kujinsen support and Tenkan-sen support as well. So interesting, the 12-hour on the cloud is acting very accurate here. Now you notice as we go on in time, we actually expand. We actually expand the bearishness of our Kumo cloud. It actually expands more bearishly here. So we'll see if this continues the trend. I know in lower time frames it was looking a lot better, right? We're kind of mid cloud in the 6 hour. We're just at the teensiest, tiniest bullish twist here on the 6. The 4, we've been hovering over that twist. Also interesting. Tenkan-sen resistance, very prominent on the 4 hour. For every candle wick that tries to break through it. So that's notable as well. 3581 and holding. So, lower count, lower time frame cloud counts are still bullish to neutral. And the 12-hour is very spot on in showing where that cloud resistance remains and actually expands, heading into the end of the month there. Let's get rid of that guy and let's pull up. Let's pull up in Bollingers. All right, so let's start with the daily. And so daily, we're still pretty wide in our Bollinger bands, relatively speaking on our daily chart. We know what tight bands look like in this market era right here, but these are still wide compared to our pre um, our pre bear market Bollinger Bands, which were very tight. See, rising all the way up. This is the very tight, stable price action. See, very tight. Okay, a couple times on the daily, the price action broke below, was able to come above, come above, come above, above. So we fast forward to today, and we are tighter than where we've been, but we're still relatively wider um, than the bigger volatility can suggest. And because of that, we could be ranging in between these three key areas. Now, what are these three key areas? So now they are our upper Bollinger, 3675, our middle Bollinger, a hair below $3,500, and then our lower BB at 3311. Now, all three of these areas correspond with our middle Bollinger being our really last line of bullish defense. Otherwise, the veracity of this bull candle becomes in doubt. For that expansion, that continuation. We also know that our upper Bollinger continues to resist the closing candle price here, 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 and here, and then ever since then, all the way down through here. And our lower Bollinger, once so we go upper BB, lower BB, middle BB, middle BB, lower BB, and then lower BB, middle BB, upper BB. Haven't touched the middle yet. And if we fail to hold the middle, then our lower BB can be in target. But we are just dead stick sideways once again here. So we're just dead stick sideways here. And that's the bottom line. These are our tight ranges here. Everything's very tight here. When we had this larger expansion, we knew where our targets are. Between here and here, we're talking about $250, $300, maybe a 10% move from top to bottom in Bitcoin, and that's not huge considering where we're basically talking in this key area here. Go to 12-hour. Still very wide on the 12-hour. Haven't even touched the middle Bollinger yet, so I'm almost convinced that we might have to go sideways for a lot longer. Not a lot longer, but into the weekend for these guys to tighten up because they're still very wide. Now, very tight, though, on a little bit lower time frames here, our 6-hour. And look at our 6-hour. Look at this resistance on the top, support on the bottom, and middle Bollinger resistance. Yeah, it's a little phallic. And then the 4-hour, once again, finding that middle Bollinger resistance and closing below the upper Bollinger as well. So very tight on the 4 and the 6, very wide on 12, and kind of mid-range to neutral on the daily. So we have a situation here for expansion on the 4-hour and the 6-hour. But the 12-hour suggests we might have a little bit longer sideways before we actually get that expansion. This morning, the earlier in the day, the volatility candle that we had, maybe that kind of forerunner to what we could be expecting. So I want to talk a little bit about longs and shorts. Bitcoin longs here, still strong, still ranging higher, and still getting closer once again to the all-time high, but this kind of toppy area here where they can get to, and then the price tends to collapse on them. We see it here, we see it here, we see it here. And then there's always the shorts with our line of volatility. I tweeted about this yesterday, talked about it on numerous shows, how, let's just maximize this guy here, how whenever this line is touched, it is basically creates this volatile price action in Bitcoin, normally bearish or close to bearish when it's loaded up. And the last time we actually did touch it back here, November 14th, so the last day above 6,000. So it was notable. And it's also notable that the fact that we have closed below it and are now back testing this line as resistance. So our shorts continue to get lower, our longs are going higher, and because the spread is getting more significant now, see that right here? Once again, our spread is getting more significant. We don't normally have the green that spread over the red for very long until the shorts, begin to reassert themselves, either with one little more pop of Bitcoin to load shorts at a higher price, or a clear breakdown of the Bitcoin price action, as a whole. And that's definitely in the cards, and that's what I'll be watching for to see how that goes. I want to blast through a couple altcoins here. I want to start with Litecoin. Obviously, it's been the runner, the front runner. We saw it again today. It had a little pop, just a little quicker before the rest. Okay, but right now on our daily, okay, we're putting this little upper wick here, higher than yesterday's volume. We are still holding barely our stop and reverse point. Here is our resistance. Here's our resistance. We broke through, found support briefly before resistance, we broke above, so we have a resistance once again, but we have our support still holding. And this is the range of consolidation that really needs to hold. If we fail to lose this area, let's call it above 40, we by a wick, I think we broke below it earlier today. or yesterday. Yeah, 3967. So we just broke 40, pop back to 44, and then have given most of that back down to 41 and change. So must hold area above 40 on Litecoin remains, and has, it has a very strong still RSI profile, although definitely pulled back a lot there, down to 60 here after being well over 77 there. So definitely something of interest here. I'll look at Ethereum here, back to the 120 area. Oh, that didn't work out too well, did it? And we are seeing how the 119, which is the 236 extension of our initial wave to our bottom right at 100 here, is holding. And again, bullishly, we have to target our next area of price historic resistance, as well as our fib resistance 382 at $130, which would coincide with a double top here, but also the continuation of this bullish move above $100 here. So it's important that we close above $118.90, which would keep the price action above the 326 extension and still keep this bullish scenario potentially in play. You see how Litecoin, just in a very similar extension, has well surpassed Ethereum, where Ethereum is down, where Litecoin would be $34. Litecoin was all the way up to above a 786 and almost to a full 1-to-1. So you can see how much stronger Litecoin was. Look at Bitcoin Cash just for a moment here. There's something about the SV that Coinbase said is going to basically make a roadmap to those who um, get SV through the fork with the Bcash they had held on Coinbase. The off-road for that could be interesting to see how SV is affected, and if SV is affected, then ABC is probably going to be affected as well. We see how much weaker BCH ABC is, where the 236 would put the price action right around $142. So we got Ethereum at the 236, we got Bcash less, we got Litecoin significantly more, and let's see, what else did I want to mention? So that was that. That was that. That was that. A couple alts have their own kind of charts. I know Lumen was looking. Was this the dollar? So Lumen was looking like it had a little pop in it this morning. Never really had. See, it's funny. It never really had that bounce. Well, actually, it put in a lower low from the bounce. So it's almost like if Bitcoin had bounced and then failed to hold 3K and came all the way down, to $2,400 before finding a bounce there. So Lumen, yikes! I mean, it's just no bottom yet, even in this short rally of a moderate recovery. And this shows what the bearish divergence to this altcoin, to Bitcoin, has been. Looking at Ripple, let's take a look here. Again, we can see how there was the bounce on December 18th. This was our first impulsive wave higher. We've come all the way back and found support just at 0.277. We bounced and found that 326 resistance here and here. Look how on the money that is. Okay, look how on the money this resistance is. So we got to get back up to there and break through it, and then we could definitely target other key areas. The 328, but look at how we just blast through there. I wouldn't be surprised if the 5.5 or even the 6.5 could be in play, but we see how strong that 236 resistance remains. So, looking at different charts, you see how not all the coins were able to, bounce equally with Bitcoin's bounce or initial bottoming, and then the kind of the second bounce there as well. So the one more here, I'll do EOS. Um, Now EOS was actually had a very nice bullish extension. We had, this is BTC pairing. You know what? I want to do USD. Where's EOS? USD. There it is. There we go. That's better. So here and right there. So we didn't actually go. I guess we did moderately as low, but we were able to blast through the 236, and we are, look at that, we are just finding resistance right under the 328, and that also corresponds with our double topping resistance we have right here. So EOS is more bullish, Litecoin more bullish, ETH a little bit more bullish than some. I've been watching Ethereum Classic. It's actually been kind of holding up a little better. And once again, the extension 236 resistance remains. So a lot of these alts are on the cusp. If Bitcoin can expand and get to that $3,800 area, you could see this breakout, these near-term resistances be surpassed, and then we could target these higher fib extension ranges. But until then, we see how strong these areas are, and Bitcoin today clearly showed that, hey, it's kind of still run the show. So just to recap here, looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, we're going to have higher than normal volume over the past couple days here. Remember, we were putting in stair-stepping volume down. That trend is going to change today. We still have 6 more hours left in this candle. Probably surpass the past 2 days of price action. Very curious to see how this candle forms up. We had a lot of volatility earlier in the day here where it seemed to rip, and then it just dipped. And ever since then, we're just kind of hovering this area. Talked about key area of 3535 being strong support that needs to hold. A failure to do that puts this last area of meaningful support in play, 3482. Before even that, not holding puts this overall bullishness in doubt and resets the chance of that lower low possibility once again. Remember, even if we can break out a little bit higher, $3,800 area corresponds with major resistances on our overall lines as well as on our daily MA100. Weekly MA200 remains as support, and monthly MA50 also remains as support, has yet to be touched. So guys, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this 50 minutes of talking. 80 of you guys have hung out with me, and most of you guys have stuck around, so I really appreciate it. Give me a shout out, give me a follow. Remember to follow me on Twitter. Remember to follow me on YouTube, and I like to continually do these daily Bitcoin videos for you guys. As we go through this bear market, my whole thought process is we can get stronger in our trading prowess, in our techniques, in our capital management, and better prepare ourselves for, the next run. But for now, let's not kid ourselves that we are still deep, deep, deep into this bear market until proven otherwise, and that every bullish move we have in the price action of Bitcoin, continues to get sold off, and we continue to put in lower highs, and we are just slightly holding this higher high pattern overall. Otherwise, lower lows are also something that we keep doing as well. So until we break this trend of lower highs, until Bitcoin can break above and close above $3,800, and then close above $3,900, and close above $4,000, the bears still have control and are showing it. Watch our volume profile continue to decline all the way into this year here, okay, as we're just not getting the buying, the bottom feeding. Retail investors been just wrecked through this. And all that seems to be playing here are some of the big money players and the computer bots and algorithms. And this is a very hard market to trade in. If you are in profit in your trade, it's okay to take some off the table, take some off the table, bank some profits, because they keep becoming harder and harder to achieve these quick moves. Okay, there's nothing worse than turning a winning trade into a losing trade. So just keep these things in mind. You'll have plenty of opportunities in the long run. If you are as bullish on Bitcoin long term as I am, I'm very excited about what the future holds. But until then, until we see a real change in this market, anything more definitive than a couple $100 up and a couple $100 down, this is the market that we have to contend with. So with that, Big Chonis, you guys are awesome. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. Get some music going here. And we'll see how this price action plays out, and I'll come back with you guys and be in touch. Until then, it's Big Jonas. You guys rock.